Welcome again to Studio Galaxy 473 in Confer. And we are the Galaxy Equalizers. And for this part of the program is pure politics. And inside the studio with me today is my brother Michael Batiste. And there are a lot of issues in Grenada that we need people to speak about. If we're going to have a active democratic process, then issues must be discussed. And we discuss these issues with a view to improve. Let our democracy run smooth. Some people will be upset, some will vex, and some might change their attitude. And Michael, I'm concerned that the government of Grenada is opening the door wide to corruption. Most countries in the world do everything possible to minimize the incidence of corruption. Man is not perfect. Man going to make mistake. Man going to make blunder. Man is not perfect. But governments in the world today think it is necessary for people to put things in place to prevent corruption. Michael, this government seems to be putting things in place to cause corruption. They open the door to corruption wide. In the first instance, why you believe a government would want to do that? Because they must be aware that the whole world speaks about corruption, and corrupted government is shown.
Well, let me first say that during the campaign, that was before the elections. During the campaign, I raised the point on another program. I said that if the leader of the National Democratic Congress have a company involved, he's involved with a company that is selling passports. I believe it is important that he inform the electorate of the name of the company and, of course, what his relationship would be with that company. I also went on to say that he should disassociate himself from that company if he's getting into government, because there would be no guardrails as to the relationship with he and the company selling passport and his massive traveling. Well, as it turns out now, we have seen what's happening. There's no accountability. The public don't know who are the officers of that company that he's involved with. We don't know the name of the company he's involved with. We didn't hear that he has disassociated himself from that company that he said publicly that he was involved, he had an interest in. He said his law firm is not doing it, but he has interest in a company that's selling passports. I think it's not too late. The public should ask that question then. And the opposition at the time, it was the government. They erred too. They should have forced him to name the company that where he has an interest that's selling passport. That's just one part of it. I heard the very said Prime Minister said, and he was referring to a member of his government, a minister. He said that person is a Grenadian and they're entitled to all the benefits, including getting loans from government banks and all of that because they're Grenadian citizens. And I was shocked. I said, no, Prime Minister. There's something called conflict of interest. A minister of government, yes, a Grenadian, but he should not be getting loans from the government bank. He appoints the director. He appoints the manager. He is the that person is the one who will have to preside over the GDP statements that will be laid on the table in the parliament. They're commercial banks. Yes, he's a Grenadian. He should do like others and go to the commercial institution where he does not have an interest and take a loan. I look too at how the government went into parliament and they have more or less destroyed the tenders board, where they went into parliament and they raised the threshold from 15,000 with no contracts now to 100,000. So it is okay now to give a supporter full 100,000 contract without bidding. I mean, or 5 or 10. So that one person could have $1 million contract without competitive bidding. That can't be right. And speaking of contracts, there's no transparency. And I'm wondering what happened to the former leader of the NDC who made a name for himself talking about accountability and transparency. I look at a piece of road that's been done, that's going on, the road construction that's going on in Subies now, and that's been well over 6 months. On a daily basis, you see no one on the job. Nothing's happening there. I'm wondering if there's cost overruns. Well, what's going on? A job that's taken so long. What was the cost of this job? And how is the contractor able to make money after 6 months? You see, nothing's been done. No one is on the job. It's not. You can't say they need materials to be imported from outside because what we have there is steel, gravel, sand, and manpower. So those are very troubling concerns. We look again at the lotto. Lotto again, very troubling, very, very troubling. We're hearing noises that what's going on in Lotto. A minister, it was alleged that former minister lost his job because he complained about Lotto. We heard about a man and woman sort of thing in Lotto where checks have been written, calls have been made for auditing there and accountability, and all of that is falling on deaf ears. The prime minister seemed to be saying as long as you're a Grenadian, you're entitled to to conflict of interest. But it was not so. When the former government was in power, we all jump up and make noise when we thought that things was when what we thought was conflict of interest then. But it seemed to me all the voices that was against corruption, all the voices that used to speak on conflict of interest, it seemed like all these voices has gone silent. I'm also looking at the foreign travel.
But the voices have practically dried up.
Right.
But what is so unique about National Lottery? Lottery started in 1979, I think, under the revolution.
No, it started in from 1990. 1990, they went and they amended the Gambling Act
Yeah.
to whether it was NDC who created that
Yeah.
in
Well,
1990.
well, we have never heard incidents like that before. You had incidents with some sexual incidents, so Lotto, some individual brought up Lotto to court. I think Lotto won it, but we have never heard incidents where a minister complains that this thing, what is going on, is unacceptable,
Well, of course.
and you fire the minister.
Well, again, he has put this stamp on it. He said it's okay, turn a blind eye, and I think that's terrible. I mean, when you look at how the government operates, imagine a minister went bankrupt through bad decisions and can go to the government bank where he more or less has control by virtue of he sits in a cabinet that appoint the directors and get huge loans to pay up some of his personal debts because all of that have not been paid. And when you can have the prime minister coming forward and giving okay to that and saying yes, it is okay. There's nothing wrong with a minister going to a government bank. Look, I was in government, And the leader of the government at the time, Dr. Mitchell, he has never encouraged or recommend anyone to go to the GDB. As a matter of fact, I was not even aware that GDB does give that kind of loan, does give loans to ministers. I was of the opinion that GDB was a bank. The terms of reference was to assist farmers and small businesses. I never knew that ministers could rate the bank like that. I thought that was illegal because when you look at the charter, it says specifically who can get a loan and who can't, and it is rather unfortunate. So when the prime minister is given his blessings to the GDB loaning monies to individuals, some of them without security, by virtue of just being a member of the party. When you look at the personnel, the directors, I mean, this is so vulgar. When you look at who the manager is, who the chair is, who are the directors, all members of the National Democratic Congress. So obviously, the GDB now has become not a Grenada Development Bank again, but a National Democratic Congress development facility or financial facilities where they facilitate their funds. I have a problem too with the excessive traveling. These guys travel around the world. They come back. They don't say what was the mission. You're only hearing that somebody acting. Prime Minister would leave, he would go. You don't know where he's going. You don't know when he's coming. When he come back, he's not saying what was accomplished. He's not saying whether it was personal business or the business of state. And the people are not getting value for their monies in that. I think the time has come where ministers are leaving. You should inform the public as to the purpose of your travel. What exactly that you're going for? Is it personal? Is it business? And we have to know who's footing the bill. You cannot expect taxpayers to foot the bill for the Prime Minister and his entourage to go to attend an NDC gala in London or in Canada. That is a little too burdensome for the taxpayer. If the Prime Minister is going on a political tour, the Prime Minister should allow his party to pay the cost of that trip and not burden the taxpayers with that sort of thing. So that's how I see it.
Well, it's difficult. You sometimes you don't know where to start.
Yeah.
That's why the statement has been made that they open the door to corruption.
Yes, they have done so.
And people have the view that if the priest could play, who is me? These things could filter down throughout the country.
Well, I think that is happening because I think they sense that they're only going to be doing one term. And when you look at the behavior of these guys, they seem to be touring the world. Everybody want to go around the world in a hurry so they could stack it up on their profile that I've been here and I've been there and I've been there, because God forbid this can't go on. This can't go on for much longer. And in the meantime, when you look at the economy, look at the things on the ground, people are suffering. The monies are not hitting the ground. Though you hear the government talking about large amounts of money that they're spending, but you have to ask yourself the question, where are they spending it? We had a $30 million COVID relief fund that was put there for small businesses that was affected by COVID. The government lied, bramble, and tomfool young people by telling them that if in order for them to get assistance, they have to go and register. Thousands of young people went and registered, hoping that they would get assistance from this government, only to realize that what they got in the mail was a tax bill, an estimated tax bill from government. They got no assistance at all whatsoever. And no one knows. I have not heard anybody come forth, a small businessman or a fisherman who was denied access to his business because of COVID. I've yet to hear one of them come forward, not in Sobeys, not in Grenville. I've yet to hear one fisherman come forward and say, look, I suffered in COVID because I couldn't go in the sea. I couldn't sell. I couldn't fish. And as a result of that, government has given me some form of relief, compensation relief. And this was monies that was given to us again by the World Bank and donor countries for what we suffered in COVID. So there's a lot that needs to be answered here. There's no accountability. There's nothing at all whatsoever. All we're seeing is a party, a party, a party, and it's a straight party thing here. If you're a member of the party, you get all the largest, and if you're not, then you know how it is.
Michael, the government claimed they spent about 22 or 30 million dollars on independence celebration. I mean, you must able to see something that they have spent money on.
Well, let's talk about the celebration a little bit. I think for those of us who know a little about our independence, I think it was an insult, a total insult to the supporters of the late great Sir Eric Gary, and of course from independent people, to watch the government spending, they say, $5 million printing notes, put in the face of Maurice Bishop and Uncle Gary on a $50 note. I think that is the most disgraceful act that this guy have done so far. Number one, Maurice Bishop had nothing to do with our independence. Maurice Bishop tried to disrupt the independence. Maurice Bishop and his team lied to the Grenadian people, along with the late Hubert Blaise, that we were not getting independence. He did everything possible to disrupt the independence. And then, after we would have got the independence, a few years later, pick up guns and he overthrow the government. If the government wanted to honor Maurice Bishop, I had no problems with it. Chose March 13th as, and they say, to honor him, because during Maurice Bishop reign, March 13th was seen as the independence. So if this Prime Minister want to continue misleading people by telling people that Maurice Bishop left us a free Grenada, he was free to do so by using March 13th. But of course, he has committed an unpardonable sin. And I want to repeat, Deacon Mitchell has committed an unpardonable sin by putting Maurice Bishop face on a $50 on our independence $50 note, along with the late great Sir Eric Gary. That $50 note should have bared the face of Sir Eric Gary only, standalone. He should not be commingling Maurice Bishop on nothing at all with Sir Eric Gary, because Bishop did not want the independence. Bishop fought against the independence. It was Uncle Gary, through courage and the support of the people, who stood up against all the difficulties and hoisted our flags under Masanto. And to see today that this government now is trying to mislead our young people, trying to mislead the world by promoting the likes of Bishop on note. I'm not saying that there's not a place for him to be promoted, maybe on March 13th. But then again, what the Prime Minister tried to do is to try to start our independence celebration on one of the most heinous day in our history, October 19th. Again, the guy is behaving as a man who is a foreigner. He's like he does not understand our history. When he can stand before young people, mislead young people, and telling people that Bishop left us a free Grenada. That again, Deacon Mitchell was lying. He was lying when he said Bishop left us a free Grenada. There was nothing free when Bishop died. Bishop was assassinated along with members of his team. Grenada was in turmoil. There were thousands and thousands of people up in Richmond Hill that was locked up without a trial, without a charge, without knowing what's their fate. And there were Rastamen in Hopeville that was put in concentration camp. There were people that was picked up at the home, beaten and dragged and thrown in Richmond Hill without a charge, including Deacon Mitchell, uncle, Ulala, Sir Maxwell in St. David's. So when he could stand before young people and say to young people that Morris Bishop had left us a free Grenada, you know he's lying, and that is just not the truth. And I said then that he should quit from misleading people, and he must pay a political price for it. Because though the GLP and GLP supporters and sympathizers and children of labor, the GLP is not a wrong, but there's lots of people who understand history, want to protect our history, who respect history, and who want to be kind to history. So I can give the assurance that the next time around, I will do all that I can to ensure that we see the back of this guy.
The question one have to ask is, you won election by 9 seats. The last time we had a 9-6 was in 1976. You in a political party that was not able, on no occasion, able to have a consecutive term in office. You got 9 seats. Why you think the prime minister continue to tell lies like that? Because it have to
Well,
be a disease or a
no,
sickness or
he,
something.
he started off with lies, you know. And again, you know, I blame the New National Party for folding their arms, sitting on the sidelines, and allowing the man to lie like that. When your opponents start telling lies, no matter how outrageous the lies may be, you have to come out and debunk it. When a man could stand up in Grenville Town, in the cinema in Grenville, and he could tell you he's going to put two windmill in Grenville, and that's going to stop the flooding. When we know there's a gush of water coming out from Lacroix building up, coming from Canal Road, that coming from all the buildings in town in Grenville because there's no guttering and there's no organized drainage pipe there. And the town is flooding. He didn't talk about intercepting the water, diverting the water. I mean, I am privy to a copy of a civil engineering report, two actually, one by JP and one by a foreign company. And they all talk about diverting the water and minimizing the flow of the water into the town. And when this guy is coming here, when Dick and Mitchell is coming here and talking this lies to people, and you know what was so sad about that? I saw intelligent people sitting in Grenville Cinema, and they were cheering him on and cheering when he was talking this nonsense. When this guy gonna look at farmers and say that he gonna have green leg trucks going around picking mangoes. I mean, again, the then government failed to confront him with these lies. We do not have organized mango fields. Where these mango trees are, sometimes Manikou having problems going, or the rat and all of that having problems going. How in heaven's name you're going to get a green leg truck to go there and there's no access road? You're going to take netting and put on the mango trees so the mango don't fall on the ground. He looked at the fishermen again and he said, he gonna set up netting outside to stop the seaweed from coming ashore. The U.S. Coast Guard, the U.S. with a giant Coast Guard, probably the best in the world, the biggest in the world, they can stop it. England can stop it. No one can stop this orgasm from coming ashore. It's an act of nature. What you could do is to minimize it when it comes ashore and see how you could clean up as possible. But here, this guy stood before the Grenadian people and lie again, telling people that he's gonna stop seaweed from coming to the shore. And you know, a lot of intelligent people stood here and clapping this guy. Well, I mean, when I heard that, I froze. I said, God in heaven, what is this? Where are we going with this guy? All this guy's talking is a set of lies. When he turned around and he said, farmers,
Mm.
farmers will have access to marketing board. I mean, have access to GDB. to buy trucks with solar panels that would go around the country selling fruits and vegetables. A truck with a solar panel is almost $250,000. A farmer cannot even afford to buy a bag of feed or bag of fertilizer. And I want the Prime Minister to come here today and tell the nation how many farmers receive loans from GDB to buy that truck with the solar panel to go around the country. And he didn't stop there. You know, he has become such a habitual liar that it seemed to me as if lying is just his thing. And recently, like he went up in Laura for the first time, like he didn't know Laura Day. He didn't know.
He discovered pepper.
He discovered pepper. And he turned around and he said, again, lying and misleading our young people. And I want to say to the young people out there, agriculture is a patriotic thing. Food security is important. But please do not listen to this guy. He's misleading you. Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell is misleading the nation and our young people once again. Don't get involved in black pepper. It's 9 stages. And you have to have acres and acres of lands to make sense. If the Prime Minister is interested in helping our young people and helping to ease on the food security shortage and the huge import bill, stop and pump some money in agriculture. Help our young people. Give them the assistance to grow short crops, grow root crops, and let them have the ability to earn so they could feed their families. Because young people today are taking up family responsibility at an earlier age than we did in the times now. So black pepper will take 3 years, 3 long years, and it's more fragile than any of the tree crop that we have, whether it is the mango, the coconut, or the other thing here. So it takes a real madman to recommend a tree crop as an alternative after a hurricane when black pepper will fall down. Black pepper will fall down in a high wind. You don't have to be hurricane.
High wind.
High wind will throw it down. So it's a compilation of a lot of lies that. And I remember right after the election, and one of the things I find so amusing is the amount of intelligent people that this guy is conning and lying to. I remember the guy called a press conference in the trade center, and he bust in trade center, youth center, closed circuit cameras because he has this bombshell announcement to make. And he said, and he came and he given legal advice to the fellow in our constituency in the South, because he said he has information that a constituency in the South received money for a passport. And he advised, and he given, first time I hear he ever give free legal advice. Right. He given free, like, he didn't go in the courts where a little fella struggling here to thing and facing prison. He didn't go there and, like Peter and all them fellas and them that's gone off at the time and help our brother in distress. He didn't go there. He given legal advice. He asking the man to bring back the money. I mean, this guy does not know the difference between the consolidated fund and a constituency fund. If a person decides to purchase a passport, the man knows where to pay the money, and he did pay money where he should in the treasury that goes into the consolidated fund, and he paid us. Whether it's a contribution, a gift, a donation, he gave to a constituency, to the constituency branch or whoever. That was none of his business. The fellow that was buying the passport is no fool. He knows the difference. He has a receipt for what he paid in the treasury. And there was no instructions to him as to where to pay the next. So here you have again, the guy take great pride in misleading the Grenadian people. And people ask me why I'm opposed to him. I'm opposed to him because he's not real. He's not talking nothing that making sense. And when you look at all the things that this Prime Minister have been saying here, he's talking to me as a man that jump out of space and don't understand the Grenadian way of life. And that is why I'm opposed to him. I am not NNP. I am not NNP, but I definitely cannot support a leader who have no vision. This guy have yet to lay out one single path for the resurrection of the Grenadian economy. We came out of COVID. We was at a standstill. And here you have now a hurricane. And that hurricane barrel has put us right on our backside. We have lost the productive sector. People have lost their homes. And we are yet to hear some directions from this Prime Minister as to how we're going to get the economy moving. And that is why I'm against him. That is why I'm saying this Prime Minister, Dickon Mitchell, have not a clue. He may be a good corporate lawyer. I'm not going to challenge his expertise there. But when it comes to leading a country, discipline, he has not a clue. And neither one of the people around him have any idea at all as to how we're moving Grenada forward.
Well, definitely, the Prime Minister doesn't seem to have a clue. When he speaks about agriculture, I think the best thing for him to do is speak with a script and get somebody to advise him. He's definitely an ignoramus. But Michael, the Prime Minister sat down and seems to have tricked some of the same NDC members. When they were campaigning, they were speaking about transformation, a transformative agenda. They sung so sexy that it appears it excited a massive amount of people in the population. But the Prime Minister said, we campaign on a policy of transformation, but it is not so much transformation. It is more restorative justice. It means that the Prime Minister and a few of the NDC deliberately mislead and deceive Grenadians in believing the agenda was transformative.
Well, I want to agree with you 100% on that. Because if you look at on social media, where I'm always engaged in brutal battle with all left, right, and center on the social media, all they're talking about is getting even. They're not talking about fixing things. They're making a comparative analysis as to this person used to do that. And that is how it was. And you don't expect it to be done overnight. No one is saying you could fix all Grenada problem overnight. But I have to hasten again and remind those that in 1995, Grenada was once again on its backside. Not like today, where you have a government meeting a pregnant treasury, a government after a hurricane getting millions of dollars, a government after a pandemic getting millions of dollars, a government getting millions from the World Bank to assist in agriculture and still not able to do it. I'm going back to 95. And when you guys talking about you all need time, I wonder how much time you need. You have time. You give her 5 years. 5 years is your time. The NNP didn't campaign and got 23 years in office. They got 5 years. And during that 5 years, the people examined them, look at them, give a progress report, and say that based on your performance, they did a performance appraisal, and they say, I'm going to extend your term to another 5 years. And I'm going back to 95. I remember what Grenada was in 95, coming from the NDC in 95. The NDC collapsed from 1990 to 95. The economy collapsed. The whole place was covered with millibug. Palm trees, not exempted. We had lift spots in Belvedere. No one could have think about agriculture at the time because agriculture was not existence. Men went to work while the Ministry of Finance under Dr. Mitchell was concentrating on creating an economy where people could live. Others in the Ministry of Agriculture, including myself, we went there and we went to work and started to see how we could get rid of the millibug and the what it was, the
Black Sikatoka.
black
Was it?
sikatoka, yeah, covered and the leaf spot. And God knows we went to work. And by 1998, the trucks roll out of Belvedere, Windsor, Closey, and Chantilly when we were suspended from shipping banners from the Ubdeco. It was not 23 years, folks. That happened within a 2.5 year period. When we recognize the challenge that we face, agriculture dead because of the minibug. Ubdeco throw us out, leaf spot in here. Brizant and the NDC mislead farmers again and ask them to buy lands in Belvedere at exorbitant costs. And they could not, they shut them nutmegs and planting. The banana industry collapsed. Government step in. They pay banana farmers for bananas that they would have shipped. And we said, okay, give us a little time and we thinking. And we got it going back. We came in with plans. I created my no huddle offense where I offered a labor subsidy program to assist farmers. They buy into it, they bought into it, and in no time at all, Grenada started shipping bananas again. I remember inviting Minister of Agriculture. I remember inviting Dr. Mitchell. I said, look, we're shipping bananas again. Come down on the port and hold the first box in your hand. And the whole Caribbean, including Ubdeco, when they send down people here, they were surprised. They say, what a miraculous comeback Grenada made. You're talking from 95 up to 98. We didn't ball out nobody how they leave Grenada. We didn't ask for no time. We was not on social media. We didn't go and ball in here and ball in here when your Gunlek put up a street light and you're running on live with all that stupidness. Men went to work and got the country moving again in no time. When the government collapsed in 1998, when Dr. Fletcher resigned, the people of Grenada were so upset with Fletcher because they say, farmers upset, they say, look, man, all you leave us in the red here with the millibug and the leaf spot. We've decorated us out. Now we get banana shipping again. Now Grenada started shipping bananas again and producing first. You're bringing on government. The people went and voted Vex. In 1999, when the elections are called, Grenadians went and voted Vex. Because they were so vexed, they say, the country start to see light again. And here you come in and knock it down. We're giving him all the seats. And that is why he get the first 15 seats. I mean, when you look at around the country again, we didn't live, it was not just farmers. It was a full court press. It was an agricultural full court press. We look at the fishing industry, and I used to see fellas on the sidewalk in Grenville chopping up fish by the bayside. I used to look on Melville Street, and I seen the tongue of St. George, people standing up on the outside and chopping up fish by the side of the road. And I said, no, that cannot happen. We cannot go into the 21st century like that. So we set out now and Grenville, Melville Street Fish Market, 2 fisheries facility in Grand Mall, St. John's and Grenville Fish Market. All of this thing was constructed under one administration. So sometimes I just ask these other guys, what fishermen do all you? Why is it all you cannot set up not one single fishing facility? And I just ask them to name me. Sometimes I'm out there now, I'm asking fellas, name me one progressive thing that NDC have done in agriculture, save and except Laura Spice Garden. That was a good thing. It was for tourism purposes. Brizan created this little thing here where he planted all the little different spices we have there. Apart from that, you can't name anything else. We have a sauce-up industry that flourishing. And how the sauce-up industry came about, again, it was as a result of vision. Because when we recognize that the WTO was going to knock us out from shipping bananas in 2000 when the regime kicked in. We say we must find alternative crop. And we found alternative crop. We instructed propagation station to start producing more soursop plants so that farmers could get it free, so we could be prepared. And when we was prepared, we called down the US FDA officials, and they went through the sanitary, phytosanitary, and all the HACCP conditions. They look at it, they chop up, they use the marketing board, they chop up looking for internal feeders. And when they gave us the good clear, we say, okay, today we are the only one shipping soursop in the United States. It's not by accident. So again, all of this took place within a short time. So when you're talking this nonsense about give them time, I'm asking you, what time do you need? When you have a plan, you come with your plan and you hit the ground running. If you have, what you're giving them the time to do? To formulate a plan? If you don't have a plan, when you get into government, you will struggle because you need time for a plan and then you need time to implement the plan. When you come into government with plans, as soon as you hit the ground running. I remember I represented people, and while I was doing all of this, I represented people. I went into some areas in Guapo and I see people taking water in the ravine, and I said, I can have more on my watch either. I had a plan here. They say, Nawasa say, water can flow up there because above gravity flow. I said, don't bother with these guys and them. They're too bright. Listen to me, because you know, you all are the smartest voters. All you choose me over all the bright boys and them. Come, we go see it. And within a short time, I mobilized people and we built a dam. That did not happen. That did not take 5 years. All of this took place within the first 3 years in government. So while working in agriculture and doing all of that, we still had time to deal with the people, because I am official. I have official membership in the rum shop, so I didn't have to go on Facebook. I use the facilities where I have official membership, and I go in there from every one of them, and I put the word on the ground. I tell them what we're doing and all of that, and that was good enough. So please don't tell me about give them time, and they're young.
Well, when we say the government opens the door to corruption wide, every government is encouraged to close corruption door.
Yes.
If you have a little break in it, you're going to find acts of corruption, because man is not a perfect being. Up to today, you cannot meet anybody in Grenada that could tell you what was the government justification or rationale for cutting down Belvedere nutmeg. They took a loan
Well, watch.
to cut down the banana nutmeg.
You see that one? Watch. Farmers never forgive NDC for that, Brizan, may he rest in peace, in his great wisdom, bought 250 acres from the Campbell estate. He paid too much money for it, for one. And secondly, he sold the lands to the farmers for too much money. At the time, with his hard-headedness, the farmers was using albatross fertilizer, which they were getting from Holland. He decided to try a new brand of fertilizer. And as a result of that fertilizer messed up the whole thing. It created leaf spot. So the whole banana industry collapsed. We were shipping bananas before they reached the other islands. They were ripened. So the other islands had to isolate us and say, you see Grenada? But we had to get Grenada out of this thing, because Grenada making us look bad. I remember going to an agriculture meeting in St. Lucia, representing a banana meeting representing Grenada, myself and Daniel Lewis. And when I stood up and I said, gentlemen, come October, and that was in 98, I say, come October, Grenada will start shipping bananas again. Watch, the whole room bust out in laughter. People start laughing, they choke, they laugh for about 5 minutes. Daniel Lewis was sitting right next to me. I leaned over to Daniel. I said, Daniel, what did I say wrong, boy? He said, Minister, just keep talking. We go show them. You understand? So when the laughter was over, I then issued the invitation to Ibdeco to come down. I say, I hereby invite you to visit Grenada, to come to Belvedere, come to Clocher, Windsor, Chantilly, and see for yourself the miraculous comeback that Grenada Agriculture has made. And they came down. And when they came down, and I'm sure the file tape is there, they will say what a miraculous comeback Grenada has made during that short time. So time is of the essence in politics. And I want to tell these guys and them, don't talk about young. I was not an old man. I was 40 something. I was 40, 42 or 43 when I was in the government. So don't talk about they young. They're young without ideas. The difference between them and us at the time is that when we got into government with a mission. I said, look, we must resurrect agriculture. And I'm just saying we're going to resurrect it because we come with a plan to resurrect agriculture. And hence the reason why things went so well at the time. So if they're looking at time will run out on them. Because you can't tell me you don't have enough time to get tanya, yam, potato in the ground. You can't tell me you don't have enough time to plant enough cabbage, so cabbage don't have to come from Canada. Don't tell me about that. If you want to tell me we barrel knockdown with tree crop and we suffer with that, I would say okay. Don't tell me we can't have enough chicken to eat locally and you come with a transformational plan. These guys have no plan. I guess the former government was not expecting to lose, and this government was not expecting to win. So the people are left in between there with one that
Get stuck.
one that wasn't expecting to win, to lose, and one that was not expecting to win. So we in no man's land now. So the guys who win, they win without a plan. And hence the reason why the country is like that.
And the sad thing is, these individuals seems to, well, they try to dabble with their cult. They genuinely tried, when they went in and switch off light and etc. and tried to evoke Maurice Bishop's spirit, is dabbling with their cult.
Well,
Why? It baffles me, man.
Well, I tell you the truth, it's the first time I've seen in Grenada a political party behaving like a cult with the leader. I mean, the guy is presenting himself like a cult leader. I mean, and you know why I say he's a cult leader? Because the guy talking so much stupidness. And not one day you will hear folks who know better will turn and say, Prime Minister, don't say that, man. Don't say that. That can happen. Don't say that again. Stop saying that. And they like to talk about who like agriculture and who don't like agriculture. And I always tell them, I said, look, if I and Dr. Mitchell at war, and I hear all you saying that, I ain't saying nothing. But if there is peace between me and him, and I come to speak the truth and to put the facts, because I have the facts, I will tell you he has done more for agriculture than all of the NDC administration combined. And I say it with no apology.
But I normally see that NDC is the worst, the most destructive group of people
For agriculture.
ever in agriculture.
Yes.
I've never seen NDC make, well, you talk about the spice. And yes, it's a destructive group where agriculture is concerned.
Exactly. And this guy here is reading from the same old failed NDC playbook. Run to GDB and take loan to buy trucks sitting in here. Same thing he told them. Go to GDB. Go. He didn't use GDB, he used the National Insurance Scheme. And he used the workers' money to buy the lands. So the farmers were paying through the National Insurance Scheme. So when Belvedere went bust, workers' money was at risk there. So there you have it. Is really nothing that they could look at, that they could seriously say that they have done in agriculture.
And it's always a corrupt group. They sold 13 pieces of property to meet current expenditure. They even sell land that did not belong to the government. And they sell shares that legally, if NDC was one human being, Judge 1,000 years, give them 40 years in jail for corruption, And this government come back, no. And the same, the intensity, the level, the regularity which they practice in this corrupt act could have a rippling effect.
And the lies.
And the lies.
The lies. That is what I can take from this Prime Minister, is how he
The
lied.
Prime Minister is a fake.
I say it
The
over
Prime
and
Minister is a deceiver.
a misleader and a deceiver, of course.
How could you have a prime minister like that? You can people have to be proud of the prime minister. It doesn't mean that prime ministers would make mistakes and have excesses and try to excite the truth.
And the
But
prime,
this man is deliberately telling lies.
and the Prime Minister have to be seen as an inspiration, not by coming in a function with some sleepers in your foot and all this stupidness. The inspiration must come from lifting up your people,
Maybe Morris Bishop's spirit tamper
giving hope to young people.
sense of decency and ethics.
What has this guy done so far to the young people? During the campaign, he talked about introducing technical education in schools, and he said we don't have to reinvent the wheels because we have schools already. All we have to do is build another classroom. Here we are today. That's what he said, We don't have to reinvent the wheels, all we have to do. So the young people are worse off today than they ever was. At least under the NNP, they had something, an Imani program that kept them going. It's not the best. It needs improvement, lots of improvement. But at least they had something. This present government have failed to outline any significant development program for our young people, apart from just misleading them.
And it's kind of sad when you go after the young people like that. For instance, they remove money from the Imani, Those that was getting $1,300 and something dollars because they did CVQ or CVY or what. They removed $300 from them. And I think then gave them back 100 and something. You deceive people. And that's the people they promise.
Right.
And make permanent.
I think too that in the way of housing, Uncle Gary gave land for the landless. The new National Party started building homes and placed a lot of young people in homes. Some of it could have been done in a more orderly way, whereas to give them a part to home ownership, some of that should have been done. But nevertheless, this NDC government have embarked on an inhumane housing policy. You are now threatening to evict people from their homes. You are now taking the homes that was built as granted by donors, and you are now putting it in the market for the diaspora. I said before and I said again, I have no problem with somebody in the diaspora wanting to buy a home in Grenada. But the first priority should be for the single women head of household who have families who can face the traditional bank. Government must set up a special mortgage arrangements, a 30-year mortgage, whereby these single women can pay a $400-500 a month, own their own homes in a government guaranteed loan, not with the commercial banks that will tell you 10 years at $800 a month. How is it possible, Ms. Thomas? Again, I'm bowing out to you, Minister of Housing. How is it possible, women that you say that you like, a single woman earning $1,500 or $2,000 a month, how can she take $800 out of her salary and pay for a house? The high cost of electricity, the high cost of food, the high cost of gas, that's just not possible. So what we need to do is to come up with a housing plan that would allow women and people in general, but especially single women with children, the opportunity to own a home by setting aside 70% of these houses, long-term mortgages, where they pay very little. When you're telling people, come with 70,000, we selling the house, just come with your $70,000 and take your key. Where in the world will they get the 70,000 from? Some of these women can't even open an account in the bank if they don't have a job there, because the banks are not friendly to poor people. So we have to find a way how we reach out to the lesser fortunate, the people on the bottom of the economic ladder. Government must set up a special mortgage arrangement so that these people could buy the house for very little money is down. Buy the house in a long-term mortgage where they're paying a $300-400 so they could shelter their families. And we need to do so. And we need to say to them that the housing policy is inhumane. And you must go back to the drawing board. Go back to the drawing board, because a person over 45 years old can't face the bank. The bank don't want to see you. And the bank don't want to see you at over 45. So, excuse me. What happened to the single woman over 45 that have 3-4 children, no husband, and looking for a place to put your children? Where's she going to go?
She definitely will have to end up on the street. And what we see now, Grenada have the most home for the aged in the Caribbean. So more of these people would be in the poorhouse. It appears that we have to have some warriors again to fight again. The fight that Gary did and Kit Michelle did to an extent, we'll have to continue that fight to fight for the most vulnerable in our country.
Well, I'm still doing my part. I'm not in frontline politics, but I don't want anyone to take it that because I'm not running for nothing, I'm not speaking out on injustices.
Yeah, we have to continue.
And I want to urge again, every time I get on a program, I want to make the clarion call to Dr. Mitchell, Kate Lewis, and all of those folks that's speaking out on behalf of poor people. Don't give up. Continue to struggle. This government is an oppressive government. This Dickon Mitchell is behaving as if he came from a multi-million, as if he came from a well-to-do home, and he does not understand the needs of ordinary people. This is a guy that has no feelings at all for the poor. And he believes poor people becomes a nuisance. Look at the hospital situation. Yes, things are bad in the hospital. I'm not going to tell you it wasn't bad. It's bad because my daughter died there. But it has gotten worse. I've been in the hospital recently to see people. I have to bring the fan. I have to bring the toilet paper. I have to go and get the medication and bring back the medication in the hospital. Stop saying it was like that. Transformation means you're taking it from what it was and making it something else.
Lion transformation. Eh?
Stop saying that's what it was.
If that's his old ministers.
Right. If that's what it was and you're leaving it as it is, we did not transform. We got a bad exchange. And we got short change. So you must stop the nonsense about talking that is where it was, and you need time. And you talk about building a new hospital. And let's talk on that.
Well, perhaps we have to have another day for the new hospital in particular.
All right.
Because this one we believe is a scam. And we have to speak about it. But we come to the end of the program, and we want to encourage you to subscribe to our program. Studio Galaxy 473, subscribe. It's very important for the growth of the program for you to subscribe. Share our information. We have 2 programs on Saturday, one on agriculture, and the next one on pure politics. We want to thank our technical operator, Elisa. Thank you for guiding us. I want you to continue. And I want to thank my brother, Michael. We always are wrong, and we meet anyway in the rum shop too.
But I noticed you give up membership. You're not drinking. You're not drinking that anymore. You're drinking foreign thing.
Right now I'm talking a lot about it. Yeah, we want to thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. I'm happy to be here. Yes, man.